grow. And today on our 2018 garden post, we're going to be going to June the 1st. So we're in the month of June now. And what better to do on a gray skies February the 2nd day than to look at the garden in June. Good morning, it's Nancy with the Scroll in the Garden, and it's been a day or two since I've put anything on my YouTube channel, so I thought I would just go up the garden row here a little bit and show you some of the things that's happening in the garden. Things are filling out and getting bigger, fuller. Pretty soon it's going to be overgrown. I'll have to be out here dividing and getting some of the stuff out of here this fall, I guess, because it's getting too congested where it can't have room to have air circulating in some places. But there's always stuff that needs to be done in the garden. Got a new little butterfly right there for the garden. Hope you had a good Memorial weekend. We did. It was extremely full with graduations, decorating the graves, seeing family. It was all wonderful, and I'm all worn out from all the excitement and all the fun. Have a new lily blooming. The lilies are blooming. That's something new since I showed you a post. They're just really beginning. There should probably be several that I'll get to show you. Our roses are waning down. I'm going to have to get out here and trim some of that off at some point if I can find the time. My little thundercloud sedums are beginning to fill out in these little pots. When they get full out, they will just be a little mound, just a little round mound in the top of that. And they're just wonderful for smaller pots. Can you see the President Clematis over there? Isn't it looking pretty this morning? So glad I discovered those roly-polies on it in time to save it where it wouldn't be killed, because they can surely take something down for you quicker than you could ever imagine. There's still a few things. This is my, I can't remember the name of it right now. Henley, maybe? Not thinking of the name of it. Clematis, and I don't think I'm going to go all the way out in the back this morning. The heat is setting in too. That's another thing. We're in the hundreds this week, so it's been very hot out here. I'm glad I got most of the garden, the planting part, done, although I do have a few things that I want to fill out places where they're not growing, or where something died out that I put there. Just different things where it's not as full as I would like it to be. Those type of things. Pretty little rose right there this morning. This is the one I was trying to get, but I think it's in the sunlight more than you can actually see the beauty of it to its fullest. This little St. John's wort, what a horrible name for a beautiful plant, but it's going to be blooming soon, and it just has little yellow mounded things with it looks like, oh, I'm not thinking this morning at all, like what is it when they have little those that light up on the ends? Fiber optic. There I go. Got that one. But it looks like a little fiber optic plant. So pretty. And then we're back around to where I started, and like I said, I'm not going to go all the way back into the back of the garden this time. And we're going to have to be dealing with some heat and keeping that watered. It's going to get hard, but then if we can keep it through the hot part of summer when fall sets in, unless it comes with a early frost, if we can have some pretty fall weather, it'll be actually at its most beautiful. I've learned to love fall in the garden because it's the most time when you can enjoy it the most. In the spring it's beautiful, but you're so busy trying to plant and get stuff in that you don't really have time to enjoy that beautiful weather as far as just to sit back in the garden. But I always enjoy it, even though I'm busy in it. It's just so pretty to be in God's nature and just to enjoy all He has for us. Hi, it's Nancy with a Scroll in the Garden. I have another post for you today. This morning was very nice in the garden, but it's already getting very hot right now. But we found a shady spot for a minute. Good morning. I wanted to show you a little bit more in the garden. It's been a few days and I've been busy. I actually had catch-up day yesterday. There's been so much going on. I actually added a few more little impatiens here to this pot because I had lost some due to snails, and I just seems like I've been behind. We've had such a busy May. It's just been going and doing the whole time, and then of course May is definitely the time in the garden when it's so busy because you're putting in all the new stuff and dividing some of the old stuff and moving it around to different places and fixing up your pots and getting those going. Oh, this one little coleus right here is looking good. You love to see when they take that spurt of growth. And right here I have a caladium coming up, the black and green caladium. This has got my little girl in there all covered up. I'll have to get something and see if I can raise her up a bit, or maybe I'll just let her hide in there for the summer. Just depends on if I can find something that she'll still look good in there with, probably. And these little impatiens are just still not looking good, and I have a feeling that the snails are still feasting on those. I just don't know how to get those things stopped. The hostas are definitely looking good this morning. I got so many little things done yesterday that they've been kind of bothering me, because I'll come out and I'll be wanting to do that, and I'll look at it and say I've got to do that when I get the time, but I just have not had the time. But yesterday somehow I did, even though there are many other things I could have been doing. I finally got around to some of those things, and it just makes me feel so much freer, like some of the stress has gone. I don't know if I can get this one up enough you can see it, but see behind this little lady, there's a green and black plant. It's called a Turilla foam flower, and I may be saying that wrong, but it's a foam flower. And this is the first time I've had one in the garden. I actually purchased one once before, but it didn't make it, so this is another try. I hope it will work. Isn't that a pretty little plant? Those little green and black leaves. Look at this coleus. The one on this side has definitely taken off, and the one on the other side is looking good too, but it's just exciting to see them really take off and go. And another thing that I did was these little sedums had actually frozen out, but they did come back, but they came back so not so sparsely. They came back, so I decided to put some little impatiens in there with them, and we're going to see how that will work, which it will do really pretty, I'm sure, if the snails will leave them alone, so they'll get a chance to. But that was another thing that I did, was put those impatiens in with that sedum. All of that front of that. So we have some more lilies blooming over here too this morning. Actually, they've been blooming for a few days. These little pots, I put some sedum and coleus, or not coleus, but celosia, the little burgundy celosia in there, and I didn't know if they would actually work in those small pots, but they seem to be doing fine. So that's good. And then I have some holly, a small hollyhock, not very tall here, but it's bright and pretty. Those teeny tiny little petunias, look at them now. They're not so teeny tiny anymore. Things grow, it seems like, so slowly, and then all of a sudden you remember how they looked before and realize how much they have grown. This burgundy celosias everywhere. They came up from seed, and I've left a lot of them. I really do like burgundy in the garden, because lots of times it will catch the sunlight and turn from burgundy to bright red, and then also it will pick up pinks easily too. You can notice that there's a little pink in that leaf. So it's a pretty plant. It can get invasive too, just because it does drop seed, and sometimes more than what you want. They're pretty easy to just pull up though, and they make a nice little filler plant for your pot. Here's my normally beautiful Persian shield. This is what mine usually does. I don't know what I'm doing with it. Maybe it needs more shade. It gets a dappled shade here, and then some of it is solid shade, but it's not as pretty. It looks more like brown and green instead of the beautiful purple and green. And lots of times, I mean, when I buy them, they are purple and green, so I don't really know why mine I'm trouble with them looking good, because it's a beautiful plant normally. So I guess unless it's in my garden, because I always say, people say I have a green thumb, but I know better than that. I know what it takes and how they look. But I do have a gardener's heart. I do know that too. My family, all through the generations, have all done gardening, and most usually it was gardening with, well, vegetable garden for food, because that's what we had to eat in the summertime, was we ate out of the garden. Actually, even in the wintertime we did, because we raised our own potatoes and kept them in the cellar and did all that kind of stuff. We had a large family, so my mom and dad are like probably many moms and dads of that stage in time, but they just had lots of children and very little money, and we just made it somehow. Like Loretta Lynn said, her daddy always managed to find the money somewhere, but it was always a struggle to do so, and you always that fear in the back of your mind that maybe you wouldn't make it this time. So, but anyway, it put a desire in me to have a garden. I remember when I was a very small child, and my mother and I were planting seeds, just seeds from back then a 10-cent packet. So I definitely do have a gardener's heart. I've always wanted to have a garden, and for the most part of my life I've worked, and then we just didn't have the money for a garden. Is kind of a luxury, even though it's a very hard. It's a thing you definitely work for. But oh my, this little pot back here is just totally died out now. I don't know really why what has caused that. I had shade plants in there, but I'll have to do something with that pot. That will not do. But I used to, when I would come out here, I would hear my daddy's voice in my head saying, "Sister, are you sure you want to put that much time and money into something you can't even eat?" But I don't really hear that so much anymore. I think he's proud of my garden. I think in heaven he looks down on it and smiles. I think he smiles. I think sometimes he says, "Sister, you need to get some rest." But other than that, I think he loves my garden. But all that put together made me just really want a garden. I used to just sit in the car and not go out, and when we were at Walmart, because I wanted to go in that flower barn so bad. But I knew we couldn't afford it, and I knew it just made me want it more, so I didn't do it. But I would look at the catalogs that came in the mail, and of course never purchase them, but I would dream. So this is the result of my dream. I know it's the reward of the labor of my hands, but it's also uh, more than that, much more than that. And the blessing of the Lord to be able to have it, and that He gives me this. I so appreciate it. I'm in the backyard now, and it's such a beautiful morning. I just can't believe again it's been so hot, and I have to come out here fairly early, at least by 8, before it gets so hot you can't enjoy the garden. But it's just looking nice, and it's just so different when you come out and the weather is nice. You can really enjoy it, and otherwise it's not very easy to enjoy the garden in the heat. I think this sun's going to be cast too many shadows maybe to let me get good pictures here, but I'll give it a try and see. I put these little dusty millers around here, but I don't know, they're really wilty right now, but they may still take root. I hope they do. They're just little cuttings, but they just add to the softness of this little pot. I hope they will work there. So there's been several. It's fun to do the little touches after you get the main stuff done, and then you can just do the little touches. That's the part I like best, is when you come out and just add a thing or two here and there. Get it the way you want it, and it's not so stressful, because when you're trying to just get it all in, it can get very stressful. And that's my little water garden. There's cattails and Siberian and Japanese iris in there. That's one little Mexican petunia. Those are another thing. They're kind of invasive, and I'm trying to get rid of some of those in the front. Oh, looks like we had something that knocked this over, or the wind got up or something. Let me fix that. There, that looks much better. So my husband tells me I'm going too fast on some of this, but some of it I'm thinking, well, you've seen it before, and it's not really looking its greatest right now. And, just talked myself into just going ahead and whizzing on by some of it. But it's nice to just relax and just enjoy walking through the garden. I think I told you that I had some of these that are this brownish color, and yesterday I noticed that some of the lemon yellow ones are blooming too. Looks like this morning just that one, but there was more yesterday that were blooming. Then here's one that's actually a two-tone color, some of the yellow and some of the brownish burnt orange color. And I did get my little taller plant stands for the garden, and I like them. I like them there. I think they're going to do well, other than our water has gyp in it, so you spray something one time and it puts this little white coating film on everything. By the end of the season, even my plants look like they're coated in white instead of the pretty bright green. Here's the daylily from yesterday, and then here's one for today. Oh, look, here's also the sweet peas are blooming this morning. This is a new hosta right here. And then, can you see that pretty pink? It's such a soft baby pink. I don't know if the color will show up as much as it really is. But it's a pretty soft pink, real pretty little thing. Looks like I have a weed growing up here under this little plant. Several, actually. That was one thing I did not get done. I did pull a few of the weeds, but I didn't get nearly all of them, and I didn't get all of my seeds planted, but I did plant a few. So still doing that little by little thing. But I kind of just got into really enjoying it. Well, I got so much done that I enjoy that accomplishment. But it does make even more enjoyment, because once you take that pressure off, it's just more relaxing. You feel like, well, I know I can get that other done now that I got all that other done. I can surely get that done. So that makes me feel good. And then there's another little thing I added to this. Doesn't that just really add to this little pot right here? I put this little Silver Falls Chandra in there, but it brings out the red. It brings out any color. It doesn't matter what color you put in there. It's going to be prettier with a Silver Falls Chandra. And to me, I would also say add that little Dusty Miller, because it's going to bring that together so well. Mine's so small, I don't know if you can see it in there, but it's definitely got a Dusty Miller right there. And that will hopefully grow, and then this will just bring that pot together, and I'm thinking it's going to be gorgeous. Hopefully it will. Sometimes, like I say, the summer heat of our Oklahoma heat just really can do a number on them. Look at this. Is one of my favorites. Get that fly off of there. Is this pretty pink calabachoa. It's called mulberry, and so pretty. I couldn't wait for this one to bloom around the edge or the rim of this pot, but instead the blooms fell off. So, but hopefully it'll make more, and we'll still get to see those pretty. It's a flowering maple. Looks like I need to go ahead and deadhead this one. And then I have new daylilies down here, and an old one from yesterday, of course. But look at those, aren't they pretty? I just love the ruffles, and then that it's this edged in that soft yellow. It just really brings it out. I sprayed a little bit more of the Solidago. There was a couple of places I hadn't even sprayed at all. I hadn't realized they were there. So it's going to take a while. It usually takes several times to kill it out. I have pictures of it from previous years, and I'm so glad I do, because honestly it is a beauty. But it's kind of like having 4 o'clocks in your yard. They're beautiful, but they're going to take over everything. You won't have anything but 4 o'clock. Look at this. Isn't that just a massive beauty? This this is called a Hagley hybrid clematis, and it's beginning to fill out too. And this one actually lasts longer. It blooms for a longer period of time than the pretty President clematis. But of course I love them both. Okay, I had to turn this back on just so you could see this beautiful pale pink hollyhock. Isn't that pretty? And you may have already noticed this when I came by earlier, but I didn't. Look at this beautiful blue clematis right at the tip top of this little obelisk. Let's see if I can go over there and get it a little bit closer. Looks like the sun is putting light and shadows on it, so we're not going to get a really good picture of it, but that's this pretty little clematis. It's extra full, not quite double, but just real close.